Good afternoon, Miami sports fans. Happy Wednesday to you all watching. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dave Eversole with the Five Reasons Sports Network, joined as always by Jaccare Givens. What's going on, my man?
I'm doing good, man. What about yourself?
Hanging in there. It's been a busy week. Got a lot to talk about today. I know it's been a little bit since we've been together, so want to catch up on everything that's going on in Miami sports. We had a big weekend with the Dolphins and Hurricanes, of course. Both teams lost at Hard Rock on Saturday and Sunday, respectively, but in vastly different fashions. Obviously, the disappointment on Saturday with the Miami Hurricanes is still leaving a bitter taste in the mouth of a lot of fans, but we got exciting early signing day news that we're going to break later on the Six Rings Kane show tonight. So make sure to join us for that at 8 o'clock. We're going to go in depth on everybody that signed with Miami today on early signing day. Despite the tough loss to North Carolina, everything seems to be going as planned so far with the early recruiting. So that's good to see. But we're going to start with the exciting Miami Dolphins game on Sunday. It was a close loss to Kansas City. Looked like it was going to get out of control there early, but Miami fought hard despite a ton of injuries and lack of playmakers on the outside in the running game to come just short of Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes. So, Jaccare, what were your early thoughts on that game looking back and the performance of Dolphins offense and Tua in particular, as well as the defense against Mahomes forcing 4 turnovers? It was quite a game.
Well, I just think Miami missed a lot of opportunities with those early turnovers. Justin Sanders had a unfamiliar miss from what I think 30 something yards he
Yeah,
missed,
close.
and then we had we didn't get points on a couple of those drives. So when you turn Mahomes over, that's the main thing. You have to get points. We settled for a field goal after I think the Brian Jones interception. We settled for a
Yeah.
field goal right after that one. And you can't do that against a team like that. You have to take advantage. You have to score touchdowns. So I just think we missed a lot of opportunities. Obviously, Mike
It was
Gesicki
good
is a
to
big Mike Gesicki was a big loss, but it's obvious that Tua only trusts him. He is the only guy he trusts as a playmaker for the offense. And I just think Miami this offseason needs to go full on attack mode, just like they did with the defense this past offseason, and just reload the whole team. I mean, the reload the weaponry on offense because the lack of weapons is very disturbing. But look how great Tua is playing without it. So with weapons, you can expect a guy who's going to be an MVP caliber quarterback.
I agree with that, and it was very encouraging to see the team fight back. I think they fell down by 20 points there in the second half. They continued to compete, and they
31 to 10.
continued.
It was 30 to 10 after the Dolphins took that safety in the
You
end
know,
zone.
yeah, and then, like you said, a few close plays there. The special teams touchdown, obviously, they gave up the punt return to Hardman there. The safety cost them 2 points. The missed field goal. There was a lot of little plays on the field. 3 or 4 plays are a lot of times the difference between winning and losing. So it's great to see Miami compete despite falling quite far behind relatively early in the game after they jumped out early and got a lead. Then Patrick Mahomes got into a groove and they started to move the ball out of offense. Tyreek Hill was impossible to stop. He was making plays out there, both on the running game and obviously in the passing game as well. But I was proud to see Byron Jones get his first interception as a Dolphin. It was a good tip from Andrew Van Ginkel there on the rush for Mahomes. He was actually down in the play, fought back up and tipped the ball, and Byron Jones got his first interception as a Dolphin, which was great to see. And, of course, his partner in crime, Xavier Howard, another interception, a spectacular one in this game
This
for his
is
league-leading ninth. That was just a ridiculous Odell Beckham on defense type catch. That was
yeah,
incredible.
it's crazy what he's doing this year. I think he should be getting Defensive Player of the Year consideration. I think he's 5 straight consecutive games with an interception, 9 on the season. That's pretty. That's record breaking to me. But like I said, Howard has been playing well. I think Brown Jones being added because we had a take probably 2 weeks ago where people was like, "Oh, the Dolphins made a mistake by signing Byron Jones." No, Byron Jones has helped solidify the secondary and it's given Xavier Howard more opportunities to catch interceptions. Because now it's do we want to throw at Jones or do we want to throw at Howard? Who do we think we can get away with it from the most? And I think people are going to Howard now. It's going to be interesting to see how teams move forward. You know, they had the Patriots this weekend. When's the last time in hell that you would be favoring a Miami team right now this late in the season against the Patriots in the
Two and a
last
half
20
point
years?
favorites, which is basically a pick 'em at home. You're typically give 3 points at home, so that's kind of a push. But it is nice to see Miami getting some respect at home in a game that theoretically they should win. I think they're a better team than New England right
They're
now
way better.
overall. They're a
What
better
better
team
team? Yeah.
than New England, and you got to look at them as kind of a fading dinosaur, hopefully, but they're not dead yet. So of course you're going to take them seriously with the history with Flores and Belichick and that team there. I'm really hoping for Miami's best foot forward in this game
Well,
because
Miami
you've got
has
a
to.
crucial stretch.
They have to have their best foot forward the next 3 games. That's the only way
Mm,
I can see them making the playoffs. The Ravens stayed alive, stayed alive with the win against the Browns,
that
and
was a hell of a game.
they have a fairly easy schedule going down the stretch. I think they play the Jaguars, the Giants, and I think it's another team if I'm not mistaken. But the Dolphins have the Patriots. Then you have the Raiders, the Bills.
Buffalo.
So
If Miami wins out, they're in. That's
yeah.
the scenario. Miami has to win out, or two
That
out of three, and I think I forget who has to lose. I think maybe the
Baltimore has to lose a game.
Baltimore,
Colts
and
have to
then
lose 2 games.
but Miami controls their own destiny, which with 3 games left is really the
Three
best you could
winnable,
hope for.
three winnable games at that. The
Absolutely.
toughest game left to me would be at Buffalo, just because if Buffalo's trying to win the division, then you know you have to. But they looked damn good on Sunday Night Football, so Buffalo's they're ascending in the right direction, and
Yeah.
I hope that the Dolphins take the same approach that Buffalo did this offseason. Go
Mhm.
get their quarterback a number one wide receiver because look how much better Josh Allen has performed with Stephon Diggs. So
What a
I
difference.
hope
Yeah.
I hope that Miami takes the same approach with Tua. Just get him in the right place because it's obvious the guy has immense talent. I think he plays a little bit better in the shotgun and when the defense is in front of him. I don't think the play action boots and stuff like he's not a really good play action quarterback. He's more of a better RPO play action type guy, like shotgun play action, so he can still see the defense. But I'm intrigued what Miami is. Miami defense right now is there. If they were trying to compete for a championship, is there. Obviously, they're still missing the pass rush, but it's there. The offense is still catching up. The defensive special teams and coaching and culture is there. It's just now getting the offensive weapons to get around the star quarterback. And I think Miami, if they stay on track, could win a Super Bowl in the next 2 to 3 years.
I agree with that. You've got to go heavy on offense in this upcoming draft. That Houston pick keeps getting better by the week. That's going to be a top 10, maybe even top 5 selection for them where you could go out and grab a playmaker. I want to ask you about somebody specific for that first pick. Do you think Devontae Smith from Alabama is a surefire pick in that spot if somebody like Waddle's available?
I'm more.
They're both great players.
I've been more on track with Waddle just because I feel like he adds more to the offense. I see Waddle as the guy with the Tyreek Hill type acceleration, but he reminds me so much of Steve Smith. Like you know how Steve Smith was in his glory days, explosive. You know, a hard nosed guy can line him up in the backfield, run reverses with him, and it just brings more creativity to the offense. Now, will I be mad with Devontae Smith? No, because I think he got a little bit of Marvin Harrison, Calvin Ridley type mold to him, but he's the more of the receiver type. Waddle is the more offensive weapon type.
Right.
If you get what I'm
Well, you
saying.
look at Alabama's track record. They produce NFL ready players, obviously across the board. But you just look at the wide receiver position. Basically, since Julio Jones going forward, there's been
Cool.
just
Cooper,
every year.
Ridley, yes.
Every year, there's another Alabama wide receiver coming out as a top. Jerry Judy's had an up and down year, but he's gonna, I think, get it together and be another really good
No,
player out of that.
he's having an up and down season because of the quarterback play,
Yeah,
not because
you
of
see
him.
his explosiveness, but he's not ready to be like a number one receiver yet. I think he needs a little bit more time to grow into that role, and for Locke maybe to take that next step that everybody thought would be coming around the horizon. But you look at the Dolphins; they're really set up well, being ahead of schedule because regardless of the record. this year you're still going to have a plethora of draft picks. Next year, you're going to have a team that's already getting used to winning. You're having a coaching staff that's figuring it out. You're having a young quarterback in Tua who's becoming the face of your franchise. And I don't want to nitpick his performance on Sunday because he played really well. He did have his first interception of the year. He's been close. Every week he's had a couple plays which could have been picked off, whether they're called back by penalty, guys dropping it, whatever. He was due for an interception, but all quarterbacks throw interceptions. He left a couple things out there. I don't really think it was his fault on the safety. I think the play call by Gailey on the goal line there, it wasn't too great. It was too slow of a developing play. Didn't really have anybody to check it down to as a safety valve. So that play call in that spot I didn't think was the greatest by Gailey. And you really see the lack of a running game just to get you out of the shadow of your own goalpost there. So you can't really fault Tua too much. I'd like to see more of
we can't evaluate him fully until next season.
No. I just want to see him a little bit more out of the pocket, and I think that's going to just open up everything for him. Losing Gesicki, we're going to see how they adjust to that.
Mac Hollins should be the replacement. I mean, he's a bigger body at receiver, bona fide tight end. These guys, listen, I've always been a proponent of this guy. If you're a 6'6", 6'5" wide receiver, you don't have the movement skills that the other guys have, move the tight end. Darren Waller, one step from being out the league, now he's a all-pro tight end.
Yeah. You got to find what's going to work best for your skill set and your build out there. I agree. If you're not going to be making plays on the outside with your speed, and listen, he's got enough burn to get out there somewhat, but I think you want to see him working over the middle in space a little bit. You kind of saw Jakeem Grant's going to be sort of the odd man out. I think maybe Isaiah Ford or somebody might come up for the practice squad. And it was really good to see Len Bowden in this game. He couldn't run the ball any, but he had 7 catches for, I believe, 82 yards, and he became Tua's number one guy.
He's very crafty with the football in his hands.
And you want to see them like Perry and Bowden. They got so many guys that could just give you 1 or 2 plays and just throw something different out there, a different look. I know they wanted to get a couple passes off there, but it just didn't work out timing wise with Bowden. So
I was I had a chat with Chris them on Twitter about Devontae Parker. They was talking about adding Juju Smith-Schuster, obviously drafting a receiver, which they will. Do you feel like Parker's time in Miami is coming to an end? Because you do have a Preston Williams who him and Parker are essentially the same type of receiver. One's younger, but he's always hurt. But Devontae Parker was like that early in his career. Would you trade Parker, which is the right time to trade him because his value is very high right now? Would you trade him right now for a 2nd or 3rd round pick?
I'm not sure because the depth of wide receiver, I think you have room on the roster for 2 similar type receivers in Parker and Williams. I mean, they can do different things a little bit. I think Williams has a little bit more explosiveness, maybe not much. He's a little bit better.
Remember this scenario, though. Say you done added Juju Smith-Schuster, which I've seen a lot of reports say that you added a draft pick at receiver. I'm sure they're going to draft 1 or 2 guys at receiver. And then the 3rd guy you'll have you still got Grant, you still got Bowden, you still got Perry. I
don't see those guys better than Parker. Listen, Jakeem Grant needs to be strictly a special teams player and maybe have a package or 2 for him, jet sweeps, a couple things. He can't catch the football. He's leaving points out on the field. I think he's becoming a liability in the passing game. Tua looks for him over and over and over, and he just does not make the plays. He dropped that bunny over the middle early. It was a low pass. But listen, if it hits you in the numbers as an NFL wide receiver, you should typically make that catch. He didn't have a defender right on top of him. Tua threw him open. He missed that one over the top the other way. He's leaving too much on the field. His value is as a special teamer. He's a wide receiver 5 at best. I wouldn't.
But I'm asking you. But you have, remember, we're talking 2021 offseason where you done added a Juju Smith-Schuster, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Preston Williams, Len Bowden, Malcolm Perry. Would you not trade Devontae Parker if a team calls and say, hey, I got a 2nd or 3rd round pick for you right now? He's gone, in my opinion. They're trading him right away.
I disagree because nobody behind him I don't think is going to step up and be as good as him. And you've looked at the depth. I mean, they have no depth. I think you could invest that 2nd round pick in a playmaker, in a running back or somebody like that, instead and just kind of double down early to give you a little bit more of that salary flexibility. I don't think his salary is going to crush you. Williams is still on a friendly deal. The Dolphins are in a good position financially. So, no, I think you hold on to Parker another year. He's proven loyal to the Dolphins. He's played good. He's tried to stay healthy the most part. I think he's an above average wide receiver. And in Miami, that counts for something because right now you don't have anybody. So
Yeah,
there's a lot of
but
speculation. Do you even get Juju Smith-Schuster? I don't know.
I think for sure. I think he's a target for Miami. Um,
But do you break the
obviously,
bank for him? Do you overpay for him right now?
I mean,
He's
you
had
have
an
to,
off year. You
but
can
you got to
maybe buy
understand.
low on him.
No, but you gotta understand, Juju Smith-Schuster is only 22 or 23 years old right now. So investing in him is just like I think he came in the league at 20 years old. He's been in the league 3 years,
He was
so
the
he's
youngest player in the
23.
league, I think, for a
Yeah.
while.
So,
But I don't. I mean, what is he going to command in the open market? There's a lot of wide receiver needy teams. And do you want to get in a bidding war
would
over
you?
Juju Smith-Schuster? Is he a
Uh,
true wide receiver one? Is he that elite of a wide receiver one to where
but
you
he,
overpay for him?
but you, he brings value to the team. Okay, this is the second scenario. Would you rather have a Juju Smith-Schuster, or would you pay Nick Chubb or one of those running backs that's going to be out there in the class? Or do you take a flyer on a guy like a Leonard Fournette or Ronald Jones, who's having a decent season, and they don't resign?
Or Aaron Jones?
Or Aaron Jones? That's the guy I want.
What do you think Miami's plan is in free agency? Do you think they're going to really push their chips in the draft and try to upload it, or are they going to
I
go
think they're
big
gonna.
for one or two free agents? That's the question that
I think
I'm
they're
really going to
gonna.
ask.
I think they're gonna go big in the free agency far as the running back position. Because Miami had a chance to draft running backs this year and they didn't. They passed multiple times. So I think they're gonna go the free agent route for the running back. I think in the draft is where they're gonna draft the receiver. And if you have the money to get a Juju Smith Schuster, Aaron Jones, and I definitely think they're gonna be looking for an upgrade at the offensive line position in some form or fashion as well. So
Now, I typically don't favor overpaying running backs in free agency, but I would go for somebody like an Aaron Jones because he brings you so much in the passing game and the running game, and he's an all-pro caliber player. Whereas Juju Smith-Schuster, he's a good player, bordering on a pretty great player, but he's not in the conversation in wide receivers where Aaron Jones is in the conversation of running backs. Aaron Jones is a top 5 running back. Juju Smith-Schuster is not a top 5 wide receiver. So if I'm going to overpay for one of those two things, I would go off script and overpay for Aaron Jones if it was me. He's still young. What is Aaron Jones, 25, 26
yeah,
himself? So this is his money deal. Aaron Jones is going to get paid. This is going to be probably his big deal because they typically don't see those big deals for running backs approaching their 30s. So this is probably going to be the contract where he's going to cash in, and rightfully so. He's a great player. He deserves to get paid what he's worth. And I think if you're going to go that route, I think it'd be easier to build through the draft at the wide receiver spot than it would be at the running back spot. There's some good backs this year, but nobody is just like
outside
jumping
of
off the
it,
screen at me.
yeah,
Outside of ETN, and I like Najee
that's
Harris too, but there's a big drop off, I think, after that. And I think what Miami's approach is, you got to look at the offense as a whole and what you need more of. If you could
so
get Aaron Jones, that's going to give you a running back one, and then all of our, as we discussed previously, number 2 running backs that we have in Miami can kind of fill in as needed.
correct.
Where
So
you could draft a couple guys in the draft at the wide receiver spot
so
and
so
go
it's
from
a
there.
so it's a transition over to the Hurricanes. So I was at the game. It was a debacle. I've never seen anything like that. Like
Yeah.
the running game of UNC, and it just Miami didn't look like they were ready to play. They didn't really want to. It was no energy in that, like in the game. The players didn't look, energized to be playing. It's like they kind of hopes or doubts, after
Mhm.
the whole ruling came down. But I do want to say this: do you see Derek King coming back
Yes.
for his next year? Because
Yes.
we had to talk about it in the press box with the other media members. Some say he shouldn't come back because there's no added value to him. They feel like all those guys should leave who are draft eligible. I think Jalen Phillips should come back. Bubba Bolden should come back because their
Jalen
players
Phillips
kind
is a
of.
first round draft pick, though. If he comes out, he's a first round draft pick.
I agree.
Somebody's going to take him early.
Yeah,
He's got the talent to be a first-round draft pick right now.
So
Imagine Miami having 2 first-round draft picks on the defensive line for back-to-back years, and still they're not going anywhere on the college level as a team. It's just crazy to me. Like, they keep cranking out elite players that they're just not getting over the hump.
So what do you see? Like, I will say this: Blake Baker needs to be fired. That's number one. He has to go. The defense has been bad since he's taken over. Like,
it's a bad scheme. I think just there's no rhyme or reason to half the stuff that's going on out there. You see, when Miami's defense is good, they're aggressive. And they were just but the run defense was just an abomination. I mean, 2 backs, one to go over 300, a second back to go over 200. I mean, to give up 200 yards rushing to a team is a bad day on defense. To give up 558 yards rushing or whatever.
And both backs had 65-yard touchdown runs.
Yeah, I mean, there were 10.1 yards per carry, North Carolina, in that game against Miami. They were getting to the third level before they were – forget the second level. They were going to the third level off top, and it was the same play over and over and over.
Miami just didn't want to play.
No, they didn't show up.
I think he has to because he will be the 7th or 8th quarterback. I mean, Derek King's draft stock's not improving.
I disagree. I think he could improve his draft stock next year. Look at Joe Burrow. Look at a quarterback like Joe Burrow who came out of nowhere.
He's not Derek King's not an NFL quarterback.
You don't think he's an NFL? Derek King? Oh man, Derek King is not an NFL quarterback. You don't think he can make it at the NFL level?
No, he'll be having to switch position.
Really? Where would you see him playing?
Running back. You have to move to running back. He's a little bit thicker guy, so yeah, I see him as
another Lynn Bowden, another Malcolm Perry. I don't know. I think if he got a shot, he might be able to stick with an NFL team. He's a smart kid. He's a good leader, and he's got ability. It's not like he can't play quarterback. I mean, I disagree. I don't know.
Let me ask you a question. If you had to rank him, where's he at in the quarterback ranks right now in the country? Like, for senior guys, would you take him over Ian Book, for instance, at Notre Dame as an NFL prospect? Would you take him over the kid from Penn State, the Clifford guy? Like, you have to look at these things, and we're just looking at Division I level. There's some D1 AA guys who are pretty good, some D2 guys who always crack the ranks. So I just don't see it. Even if he came back, he had a Heisman Trophy type season. I don't see him winning or being like a first round pick. The highest he can go.
I think he's gonna be a first round pick anyway, but I think he could go from being maybe a 4th or 5th round pick to a 2nd or 3rd round pick, which is a huge deal.
He's not even that. He's an undrafted guy right now.
Really? You think so? Undrafted?
Yes. No chance of getting drafted. Quarterback.
Why wouldn't he come back? If he's not going to get drafted this year, why wouldn't he come back and run it back after a jacked up season with COVID and everything else? Run it back with your boys and do something. You're going to go out on a 62-20-6 shit show versus UNC and some Chick-fil-A or Cheez-It Bowl or whatever, Outback State, whatever bowl we're playing in, fast food, McDonald's, Arby's Bowl, whatever. Why? Come back for another year. I just don't get what you really have to lose. You never know. I mean, what was Joe Burrow's draft position before the 2019 season? Where was he projected? Correct. So he took the jump from a 4th or 5th round pick to the number 1 overall pick in the draft. You don't think Derek King could take a leap from undrafted to a 4th round pick?
Yeah, maybe that. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe that.
Well, I'll get back. See? So he can improve his draft stock a little bit, I think, by coming back another year because you're going to come out and compete with, obviously, a lot of marquee quarterbacks, which should be long gone either way. But I think if he comes back, he's built familiarity this year. He's up for, like, the Davey O'Brien Awards. He's got his name in the mix for some pretty prestigious honors. I think if he comes back, he's got everything to gain. You got a really good running back group in there with Chaney and Knighton. You got a really good 2021 class coming in, which we're going to obviously talk about more tonight. You got probably a top 10 class coming in.
And from what I'm hearing, I think the Garcia kid is gonna go to Miami because it's coincidence that he's signing on, National Signing Day.
Yeah. No, I mean, if we get Jay Garcia to the U, all of a sudden, it's so funny how Miami can just turn the narrative around from Saturday to Wednesday. You look at the team on Saturday, Sunday morning, people ready to jump off a cliff. If you get through early signing
They
day, at
still,
the end of
they
the day, you
still,
got Jay Garcia. You're right back to where you were before North Carolina. So it's like it didn't even happen.
they still
So
went, they still went 8-2. So it's not like the season was a throwaway. Do I think Harley comes back? Uh, I don't know. That's kind of a tough question, just because of how deep the receiver class is and the draft
yeah, a
class.
lot of.
So
Now listen, Mike Harley came out. If I was the Dolphins, I would look at him late day 3.
yeah, because
Definitely.
he's explosive,
Definitely. He can
explosive
take the
guy.
top off of defense. He's
Yeah,
got elite NFL level speed right now.
yeah.
So there's something I think he would get drafted, definitely. But he could improve his draft stock
Man,
tremendously coming out next year.
Miami went 8-2, so they're gonna have at least 4 or 5 guys get drafted off this team. Out of the
Yeah.
draft eligible guys, yes.
Yeah, definitely. If Phillips goes, there's going to be obviously some depth of the defense, which is really trending downward. And I think I agree with you. Baker has to go. He should have already been gone, and have Manny just call the defense in the bowl game and move on. You've got this recruiting class come in. Get a big name.
Seven
You gotta pay. You gotta pay somebody like real
seven
money.
hundred 778 yards of total offense.
Yeah, school record. The worst defensive performance in
I
terms of
could
yards in the
I
history
could
of the Miami
I,
Hurricanes.
I could not believe it. From like being at the game, I couldn't believe how that went.
No, that was unbelievable, and
Um,
you hate to see it after the weeks that they had where they were fighting through COVID and scheduling changes, and they came and they didn't play great, but they played hard and they fought. And they won those games, the Virginia Tech games, the NC State games. They grinded through those games and came out the other side. I agree with you. The effort is what really disappointed me. You can go out and get your ass kicked. That's fine. I mean, North Carolina was the better team that day, regardless. But you shouldn't get curb stomped in your own building like that. I mean, to get 62 points to UNC is an embarrassment. That's a real embarrassment. And the coaching staff, and Manny said it. I mean, he opened the press conference with, "We got our ass kicked," and that's pretty succinct a way to say it. That's basically
yeah,
that's the truth, and
man,
you can't
it
lose
wasn't
like that.
it wasn't as bad as Florida though.
Yeah, I know we were debating that because of you kind of single out one guy on Florida for making that stupid 15-yard unsportsmanlike penalty, throwing the guy's shoe in that game. And LSU is not a great team. You should really that is a tough loss for Florida. I agree, but at least they tried. Miami didn't even try in this game. Thanks all, by the way, all the comments. MDC Bowler Kid, we appreciate you engaging with us. If Harley comes back next year, things starting three will stay the same. Pope and Wiggins, I was really disappointed with. Pope was okay. D Wiggins is pretty much invisible this year.
Yeah,
I think
nah, I
somebody
think
else is definitely going to step up, or
yeah.
Restrepo or somebody will get in there. Peyton,
Romello Brunson is going to be a D1 starter at Miami,
yeah,
guaranteed.
yep, I agree. So yeah, I think they're going to have a lot of changes there. But I would love to see Harley come back because he was the only guy out there that really gave a shit on Saturday. He was trying to fire the guys up when they were just having a really bad day emotionally. They just came out flat and undisciplined. It was just a disaster. And I'm glad to see the excitement around early signing day today to sort of reset the narrative on the Hurricanes, because the team overall is trending up, and they're going to end up playing in a mediocre bowl game, which hopefully they can win and end the season 9-2 on a positive note. So we're going to look forward to that, and we're going to have a lot more tonight on the Six Ring Show, scheduled for 8:00 tonight to go over all the early signing day stuff.
Last but not least, though, I got to get your thoughts. With Giannis signing the extension, just to close out the show, do you see Miami trading for James Harden? Because from what I'm hearing, that Miami likes him, he likes Miami. I'm hearing a package of Hero and Kendrick Nunn for him. I don't mind trading Hero for James Harden, because James Harden is a way better player. Like, he's a superstar. So
Right now,
what do you think?
I agree with it. I mean, I love Tyler Hero, obviously, and what he did in the NBA Finals as a rookie was unprecedented. And you really know he has a bright future if it's here in Miami or wherever it's going to be. He's a star in the making, I feel. But James Harden is a star now, and you've got a smaller window with Jimmy Butler at 31 years old. I think it's the Heat we're so close, and you added James Harden to Bam and Jimmy. You got to keep somebody like Robinson, though. I think if you give up Hero and Robinson and someone like KZ and Precious and Pigs, you got to
Nah,
stop something.
I don't think Miami's gonna do that. I think Miami's gonna mostly, if it's anything, Hero, Non, Olenek, they're not gonna give up too
It's going
many
to
of
take four
their.
guys. Yeah, I agree. There's some, I don't want to say expendable, but
But
definitely pieces that you could
but
move
Houston,
contract
but
wise.
Houston's in a rebuild anyway. So at this point, getting Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, Kelly Olynyk, expiring contract.
You got John
Uh,
Wall still.
yeah, you got John Wall. So hey, that'll be, it's no big deal about that. You can't be mad about the return investment that you got there.
Yeah.
So I
Now,
mean,
listen, are
I
you worried
got
about Harden's conditioning, though? He was looking a little thick there from what you're seeing. I know
what
he likes
my
to live it up a little bit and have
what my
some strip club buffets, so he's
what
got to
my
get with the culture.
What guy in Miami you ever seen who out of shape play? Never. He'll get
Never.
in line. He'll get in line in Miami. But I will say this: I do think Houston has missed the boat on their trade opportunity because they're supposed to trade it with Brooklyn. Brooklyn would have gave up everything, and I would have just took that. That's the best deal they're gonna get.
Yeah, I agree. I think Miami is one of the few teams, along with Philadelphia, that has assets. I think if Philly gives up Ben Simmons, though, that might be too good of a deal for them to pass up versus what Miami can offer, or even Embiid. You never know. Philly might throw Embiid at them. So either way, Houston's got to consider that offer very, very seriously. But if you look at Miami's side, I think giving up Hero for Harden is not to say a no-brainer, but a pretty easy decision to make to get somebody who
Yes,
obviously can put you over the top as
top
a top. You're going to have three of the top 15, 18 players in the NBA on your team.
and the
You fill out the rest.
top three scorer ever in the league history because he's a bona fide scorer. We can't take that away from him.
And I think his defensive deficiencies are a little bit overblown. His defense, I'm not going to call him
He's
a
a
good
good
defender,
he's a
but
good low
when
post
he's
defender.
engaged, he's a decent defender.
He's a great
He's
low
not a
post defender.
liability. Yeah, he
Yes.
gets steals. I mean, and he's a high assist guy just because of volume, because of that offense. They get a lot of possession, and his assist numbers are high even as a ball dominant ISO type player. So in that regard, I think yes, he can adapt to the offense, and I think if he comes to Miami, he's going to know what he's getting himself into. He's going
Correct.
to get that body fat to 5%, 4%.
He's
He's
gonna
gonna
buy
toe
in.
Riley's lines though. He's not gonna be going to Vegas on his off days when they're on the West Coast like he is with Houston. Miami's not gonna put up with that shit. They're just not. They're not. Miami's not gonna change for Harden. Harden's gonna change for Miami, and
Correct.
he's gonna
So
buy
that's
into that. He's not gonna come here if he doesn't buy into that.
yeah. Any trade that we get or any player superstar we get, they're gonna buy into the culture, and that's what you bank on.
Yeah, I think the people are talking the smoke just because if you don't like Harden as a player, and I know a lot of people just don't like his game for whatever reason because he kind of stands around when he doesn't have the ball in his hands. You'll see him not even cross half court sometimes, just kind of stand there. And I know that was a big issue with guys like Chris Paul and even his good friend Russell Westbrook couldn't stand all the other you kind of just it's James Harden's way or nobody's way. Where in Miami, it's the Miami Heat way or get the F out the door, basically. So I think Harden would buy in because I do think he wants to win. He's a competitor. He doesn't want to be known as somebody who couldn't get over the hump, who couldn't be part of a championship type roster. And he would be your number one guy in Miami as far as scorer goes. He's going to be and I think it just helps Jimmy Butler tremendously. I think you got to look at that part of the equation as well. You're going to take some of that scoring load off of 31-year-old Jimmy Butler, who's a great closer. If he has a little more gas in the tank in the fourth quarter on both ends of the court, it just makes Miami even that much of a better team. So
Correct.
I think as long as you can keep a shooter like Duncan Robinson, and if Bam can develop the jump shot, he'll just mesh so well with Harden's game. I think in that regard because Harden will find you. He is a willing passer at times, and within the constraints of the Miami offense, you don't have a choice. The offense
Correct.
goes to the open man in the Miami offense. And he'll give you just enough on defense. You look at a Goran Dragic, he's not there for his defense. And
Correct.
you're not getting Harden for his defense. So
Yeah.
you're getting
Fair
Harden
enough.
for his playmaking and for his individual scoring acumen. That's why you bring in Harden. But on that note, I think we're going to wrap up the show today. I want to thank Jaccare for jumping on during the Miami Sports Break today. And for everybody watching, make sure to tune in tonight to the 5 Reasons YouTube channel at 8 o'clock for the early signing day breakdown of the Miami Hurricanes on the 6 Rings Kane Show. Thanks, everybody.
All right.